A blessed day, viewers and subscribers. Welcome back to the boss with another video. Please put a like, leave a comment. We could get straight into this. Right now, I'm on the Spanish Town bypass driver heading into Spanish Town. Alright, put a like on the video. Big up the people in Canada, America, West Indies, all over. Big up all diaspora. Alright, so today we are going to listen to one lady's story. She sent it by voice note. So, I have it for Monday. So I say, you know, I'm give it a run now Friday. We're chocolate easy. We can go and listen to something and go on, you know? Well advised. But anyway, before that, we have a lot of single people seeking person now. So remember to reach out 2773254. We have Christian lady, we have sinner lady, we have normal lady, we have sinner man, Christian man, normal man. You understand? So you can reach out. As a matter of fact, tonight I go highlight all of them on the show. So join the nightly show at 9 o'clock Jamaica time, 10 o'clock US or Canada time, and about 2 o'clock in the morning in England time. Don't? Yeah, man. So that right there, so. And let me address something. May I read some comment below, and most of the time when I do interview, yes, sometimes I want to ask some question where I want people to interact with the audience, because I know what my audience they want to hear. So sometimes when them do the talking, sometimes I see comment when they say they don't talk too much, get to the point. Sometimes I only say, Damien, why you never ask this? Sometimes when I ask question, when I say I chat too much and I this and that, I used to it by now. Alright? I know everybody depend have different mode, different opinion, different way of looking at things. So I can't please everybody at one time. So I just want to put that out there. But you have people who respect me thing, and this is a perfect voice note I'm going to share with you. I want to understand where I come from. Just before I share a story, I can listen.
Yes, boss. Let me tell you something, man. I hold 2 masters, and I'm nowhere away from my doctorate. As a matter of fact, if I had time, I could have finished up my doctorate already. And I said all that to say this, man, that you're doing a good job. Just keep on doing what you're doing. You don't have to change your style for nobody. And I am saying this because I saw the video regarding the British woman and criticizing you about not having the qualification. You're not giving professional advice. You're sharing your experience, and you're speaking from a point of experience. Experience teaches wisdom. Keep on doing what you're doing, man. Stay on top. God bless. Remember saying, boss, man, your platform is like a private chamber. If these people had to go to a pastor, which many of them would not anyway, because they don't want anybody to know them or to know who they are, and they know that many of these people in the church is going to publicize their business, they don't trust many of these people in the church, because some of these people are churched. When I say church, I mean they attend church. They have a church home, but they wouldn't dare trust anyone in the church to share their personal business with. So this is a outlet for some of them. Some of them really don't call you looking for an advice. They just want to vent. They just want to let out. And so you are doing an excellent service. You're providing an excellent service because you're not being judgmental to them. You're not criticizing them. And you do sometimes, but in a very nice way. And so, you know, they like your approach. And you may find that on your platform, whether you realize it or not, you probably so far has prevented many suicide, and you don't even realize it. Yes, I have the experience. I've been where you've been. I've counseled a lot of people. Some people just want a place to go, a private spot where no one could see their face and know who they are, and just to vent. That's all they need. Keep it going. Bless up.
And a wise man once said, do what you have to do and not watch people. But anyway, just I forget that, cause word of encouragement. Big up yourself, my G. Kiss wifey for me, I don't know. Intelligent, well spoken. Alright? So, I could listen the lady a story. Number one, you know, she talk a story, but a story long. So, wanna try listen out it. Put on the earbuds or go on to something and turn up the TV or the phone. I could listen.
So I've been dating this guy off and on for 4 years. I met him here in the States. He was here on a visiting visa. When I first met him, he saw me at the gas station, and it was during COVID. So I work in the medical field. I had on scrubs. I had on nursing scrubs. I had my hair was like braided, but my braids probably should have been taken out like a month before I met him. So I was not looking my best. I was working a lot of long 12-hour shifts. And if I remember correctly, I think I was on like a 17-day stretch, probably on my 11th day when I met him. So, like I was saying, I met him at the gas station. He was in a truck with about three or four other guys. I was getting ready to put my gas, the gas pump back in the holster, and they come rushing up to me, waiting to put it in the holster for me. Like, but this one, he kind of pushed everybody out the way and took that responsibility and asked me for my number. Now, I had just gotten a new cell phone, so I was trying to reverse my number, but I ended up giving him the right number. With that, he actually called me right then and there. I guess he could see that I was unsure about giving him my number. Ended up giving him my number, my correct number. He called me the same day. I ignored him. He called me a few days after. I also ignored him. And then he started sending me messages on WhatsApp. So I said, it's no harm. I'm not dealing with anybody. Let me just go ahead and see what he's talking about. Ended up talking to him. We hit it off, kind of quickly as far as conversation wise. We had great conversation. He was working in the fiber business, um, and he was staying locally in my area. So my area is a very small country area in Virginia. We don't have a lot of diversity. Even Black Americans, there's, few and far in between in this area that I live in. I've always had a thing for Caribbean people, West Indians, and it was just nice to um, meet someone that had similar upbringing, similar um, culture to what I was exposed to as a child. So, with that being said, um, we began to know each other, and I asked him, I point out, asked him, like, are you straight? He told me that he was straight. Obviously, at that time, we're just getting to know each other. He didn't owe me anything. He didn't owe me anything to give me all of his personal business and his detail. Long story short, he was not straight. So he ended up going back to Jamaica. He ended up having to go back to Jamaica maybe about 4 months after I met him. And he had to stay for 6 months. So let me back up. Before he went to Jamaica, and during our process of getting to know each other, I had asked him, are you single? Are you dating anyone? Do you have children, family upbringing? Like, I asked what I perceived to be the right questions, or so I thought. He ended up telling me that he had two children, and because of their age, I was skeptical. He told me that I think at that time his kids were 2 and 9. And, I asked him, of course, about the mom. He said that they had recently broken up. They weren't on good terms with each other, and gave me a whole story, but I was still skeptical because I know that when when you have young children, when your picnic are young, the mom is still going to be around. If you're going to have 9 times out of 10, normally, if you have interaction with your children, you're going to have interaction with the mother as well. And I didn't want any issues with that. I didn't want any complications. So he assured me that him and the mom weren't together. Now, whole time I'm with him, his phone doesn't ring. That was red flag number one. Phone never rings. It's always away. So I'm like, without, I didn't have any proof, and I wasn't really looking for anything as well. I was just having comfort in, having conversation with him, because I hadn't dated in quite some time. I probably hadn't dated in like probably 2 years. And so just was focus on working, focus on building myself better. So with that being said, eventually, I locked my keys in my truck one day, so I had to use his car. Pulled back up to the hotel, and the Bluetooth connected to his cell phone. The car connected to his cell phone via Bluetooth. Ended up hearing a conversation between him and his kid's mom, and well, I ended up hearing her response to something that he said. And when I knocked on the door for him to let me into the room, he was surprised, but I was livid because he didn't know that I understand Papa very well. Um, for the most part, especially since she was from uptown, and I could understand uptown people pretty well. So, I was livid because first and foremost, we don't have that type of relationship. You could have told me. You could have told me in the beginning. You could have let me make my own decision. So I felt disrespected. And of course, I was hurt because I let him know, look, without going into detail, I don't have time. I have a very small margin for bullshit. Um, I can work better with a person if you just tell me what it is. That way I know how to govern myself. But part of me already kept, the majority of myself on reserve, but it was just the whole thing where, you said you weren't in a relationship and you were in a full blown relationship, even though he tried to say that his kid's mom and him were on a break and they had recently gotten back together. So I stopped talking to him for a little bit. He ended up going to another state to work. Um, then he had to go back to Jamaica because he was on a visiting visa. And during the time that he was back in Jamaica, um, I probably only heard from him twice, and everything was like really inconsistent. Um, the conversation that we had was just making promises that he could not keep. Like, oh, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Wouldn't hear from him for a month. So I chalked it up to his attention is someplace else, and I need to let him go and have whatever it is that he's having. So I just ignored him. But during that time, let me back up a little bit. During that time, he went to another state, and I went to go visit him once in that state. During that time, he didn't have a credit card or anything like that. And the people that he was working with from his account were being kind of shady, and the guy was letting him use his cell phone. So he asked me if I would buy him a cell phone. He had cash money, um, and he would reimburse me with the cash money that he had. And so he was working, so I knew that he was good for the money. I ended up getting the cell phone when I got back to my area and mailing it to the state that he was in. So time goes by, and I mentioned to him, like, hey, you said you was going to pay me for the cell phone. Of the, I think, $600 for the cell phone, he paid me like $250. So I was livid because don't first of all, if you don't have if you borrow something or someone gets you something, you beg of something, just go ahead and if you're asking for it, ask for it. Don't say, can you do me a favor? Can you do me something? And then you renege on what you said you were going to do. So a person's word is everything to me. I didn't like that. I felt disrespected by that. I tried to have that conversation with him and make him know. Fast forward to the time when he goes back to Jamaica, he never let me know that he was going to leave and go to Jamaica. So I'm calling the phone that I didn't know was left with the family member, the person that he was working with. So during that time, that person starts like, that person had given the phone to someone else that had came up from Jamaica to work. So I guess they were like, hey, it's this lady. She's calling, she's texting, she's leaving messages, and she's asking about, this person and whatever the remaining money. So the person's relative gets in contact with me, and he's like, hey, such and such didn't say that they met someone. So this is the first time that I'm hearing of this. Do you have anything showing that because we're still at this location, do you have anything showing that you purchased this phone and sent it to this location? If you do, I'll, I'll reimburse you on the behalf of my family member. No problem. Sent the information. He was like, well, we're kind of going to be near you in a few weeks. Would you mind meeting me so I could give you the money for the phone? No problem. I ended up meeting him a few weeks later. Now, let me tell you something. I was so upset about the fact that he played me over the money and left without any expectation. I was not thinking clearly at all because this person could have been anybody, and here I am going to meet him. So I definitely had a lapse in judgment. I take full responsibility for that. Long story short, with this situation, the guy that I ended up meeting was basically trying to fill me out and made advances towards me, inappropriate advances. And so I just felt like if that was his family member and was a very close family member, that person had some insight on the type of relationship that him and I were going to have. So he felt that it was okay to disrespect me. I feel like, and this is just my assumption, I feel like he knew, hey, this is somebody that he's potentially going to use. So she's nothing serious. So let me try and see what I can do to be able to get with the person. Um, Now, the guy was really nice. He appeared to be very nice. We went out to get something to eat. There was a water park in our area. We went to the water park, and so at this time, though I did not know that he was, I really didn't know his direct relation to this person that I was dating. So, um, it was it was a little bit of chemistry there, but still I'm reserved and I'm cautious because I'm like, why are you doing this? Like it just seemed very much out of place for him to do all of that. He's taking pictures, he's taking video, and we're not doing anything inappropriate, but it was just like, it seems like you're documenting this for a reason. And I had no intentions on ever talking to the guy that I was had been dating, that left and went to Jamaica. I had no intentions on ever talking to him or, reconnecting with him because I felt disrespected again that you left and you went to Jamaica. You didn't tell me that you were going, and I only heard from you 2 times in the 6 months that you were there. The guy ends up calling me for the second time while he's in Jamaica, and I told him, I'm like, look, um, I no longer want to deal with you. I feel like you're on some scam type of some scam type of business, and you left and you knew that you had to pay me my money and you did not. So with therefore I can't take you serious, and because of your lack of loyalty, lack of trust, lack of accountability, I don't really want you in my life. And I ended up telling him that I met the other guy, and that was a whole fiasco, which I get that. That was wrong of me to do, even if he told me he was going to pay me on behalf of this person. So I didn't hear from him for a while. He ended up coming back to the States and we did reconnect. But he obviously still felt some type of way about me meeting this guy on the road to get the remaining money. Um, During that time, we also talked about his kid's mom, and basically, he was like, I'm going to be over here working. And of course, sometimes my kid's mom is going to come. She has a visa. At that time, she was working like on a cruise ship. So when she's off, when she's off duty, sometimes her and the kids will come here and they'll see me probably twice a year. And he was like, I'm going to send money home, going to take care of my responsibilities, do everything that I need to do in regards to my family um, on that end. But I want you to be my woman over here. And, you know, um, because of the background that I come from, my mom has lots of brothers, 8 brothers. My dad has 4 brothers. I know that you can only trust a man to be a man. And many men are jealous. So, you know, to me, I was like, that's not the harm. No, nothing had been brought up. Um, okay, at the hotel when I first met him, maybe like after a month or two, he did mention something about marriage. But after he mentioned that, and I redirected him with, okay, um, why do you want to get married? You're not married in Jamaica. You've been with your kid's mom. You had been with your kid's mom for 9 years. So you said 9 to 10 years. You didn't marry her. So why do you want to marry me? And you're straight, because remember, I didn't know that he was straight. That didn't come out until later. So when he got back this time, he asked me again, and I'm like, I'm not ready for marriage. And when I marry somebody, I'm gonna do it for love. I'm not gonna do it for, I'm not gonna do it for any other reason. Just pretty much to get to see where his head was. So as time went on, he started changing the way that he dealt with me, and we would go months without talking to each other, reconnect, talk to each other. And it was almost like every time he talked to me, it was never really to get to know me. It was to get information. We had a few instances as well. Like one time, I went to sleep in his room. I got so tired. Had never gotten that tired around him, and have no idea to this day why. It was like I was just exhausted, laid down, went to sleep, and I had on my work clothes. I never sit on anybody's bed in my work clothes, but that day I was just so tired and I'm going to sleep. So I had on my scrub top and my scrub bottoms, and in my pocket I had my state IDs for the building that I worked in. And he never asked me what I did for a living, but on my state ID, it gave my title of the job that I do. And then he asked me like a few weeks after that, like I woke up while he was going through my pockets. He didn't take anything. I had my bank card in there as well, but he just looked at everything. And so I I guess because I slept so deeply, or so he thought, he didn't think that I remembered any of that. Never mentioned it until much later on. I never mentioned it to him until much later on. Also, one night when I was when I slept in his room. It's like I had an out of body experience, and I know that not everybody believes in traditional religions, and some people practice other things. And he was speaking some words over me and planting some seeds. And so it was like I was conscious, but I was not conscious. It was almost like a dream that I remembered, but I specifically remember that it was real, and I remember how I felt in that time. So with that being said, none of that really, because I didn't know how to process it. And it was like, I had not been dating for a few years. I really connected with this person, but I didn't know why I was connecting with him. It was just like a new experience for me, especially dealing with a person, someone that was raised in the Caribbean and not just, a first generation Caribbean American. So that went on. We had that type of situation. I'm so sorry, I'm getting mixed up, but I just have to express this. Um, as time went on, it seemed like he let me know about his situation, how he wasn't straight, and he was thinking about being a runaway. And he was like, he just wanted to get himself together and to have a better opportunity for himself. He was like, I really care about you, and I know that we could make it work. But the whole time he's asking me about, like, do you file income taxes? Do you own your home? Do you, like, these like little things? And I'm like, you're basically pre-screening me to go ahead and get your paperwork done. But you think that I'm not aware of any of these things. So um his kid's mom ends up coming to the state, and he didn't tell me. And so I'm calling him like we regular like I regularly do. And he's getting short with me, starting to cuss me out, just being really disrespectful. So I'm like, look, um, just don't worry about calling me anymore. I didn't hear from him until she left. And he was like, well, my kid's mom was here, and I didn't know how you were going to take it. So you know, I just, um, I just didn't, I just didn't answer the phone for you. And I'm sorry that I was rude. But also, he also had told me previously, he's like, my kid's mom knows that I'm going to deal with somebody else while I'm here. So she's going to be aware of the situation too. So I'm like, if she's going to be aware of the situation, why can't I talk to her? Why can't, why can't I get to know her? And he was like, no, I don't want to hurt her feelings like that. I don't want to put it in her face. I wouldn't do that to you. And I'm like, look, what you're saying to me does not make a whole bunch of sense, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Long story short, I eventually find out his kid's mom doesn't really know anything about me, and he's only bringing me around certain family members that he knows is not going to go back and tell her anything. And basically, he is presenting me around to his friends as basically winning the lottery, because he just knew I was going to go ahead and marry him and file paperwork for him. So I heard him say some conversation around him and a few of his friends. And I didn't say anything at that time, but I addressed that with him at a later date, as well as all the other stuff that happened in the hotel that I knew that he did. So we stopped talking, went on with my life, um, and refocused myself back on working and things of that nature. He got into a situation and needed my help with something. And like I said, I did care about him. I still do care about him. So I ended up helping him navigate through that system to be able to make sure that he was all right. But then he ended up staying in America, and he was like, I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do to make it, and if I become a deportee, oh well. So all of that was probably like in 2022. What come 2023, he started coming and seeing me every day. Like we had like a better relationship with each other where it felt like a legitimate relationship. But somewhere in the spring, like maybe March of last year, and mind you, I was only having sex with him, wasn't dealing with any other men. He ended up giving me a bacterial infection, bacterial vaginosis be given, that only could be passed from man. I mean, it only could be passed from a woman to woman, but a man can carry it, but he had to have gotten it from a woman. So I'm like, I went to the doctor and I told him, like, look, this is what I have. I know you gave it to me because I haven't been messing with anybody else, and he was like, I was like, I've been sleeping with you this whole time, and you've been sleeping with your kid's mom. I've never gotten anything. So you've you've had a new sexual partner. He denied it, denied it, denied it, until I sent him the documentation. And then he was like, well, maybe it's my kid's mom. Maybe I have to kill her. I'm like, no. You slept with somebody else new, and you gave me something. He finally fessed up and told me that he cheated with somebody that he met one time. I knew that was a lie because I know him, and I know that he's not that type of person to just give himself away like that, like he has some class about himself. So I waited. I didn't say anything, and I stopped talking to him for a little bit. Then his kid's mom came, and he basically like cut me off, but he was still coming past my house. Like I would see him coming past my house checking for me. Well, one day, and he had, at this time though, he had told me that his company had moved him out of this area. He was no longer in Virginia. He had gone back someplace, to another state. So I'm like, okay, if you're in another state, why are you checking for me? Mind you, I was going to this hotel where he had moved out of my area to another area, but it was like within an hour and 20 minutes. So I would drive to see him all the time. We're spending a lot of time together. So his kid's mom came back. He never told me that she came. So with that being said, he stopped. He did one of his mini disappearing acts. And I said, I'm getting tired of him coming in and out my life. I'm going to just go ahead and leave him where he's at. He started coming back past my house. And then one day, this little Honda Civic with a pink Honda sign drove past, and it was like looking in my yard and like driving and slowing up. And I noticed it come past my house because I was in the yard with some relatives of mine, male relatives, and we were doing some yard work. And so it kept coming by, and I'm like, that's Kamar. And so I'm like, if he's coming by here this frequently, he cannot be staying 4 hours away from me. He has to be within the area. So I went back to the last place I knew him to be. Sure enough, he was there, and so was the car that he was driving that day. So I text him. Shouldn't have, but I did. Let him know that I was out there, and I saw the person's car or whatever. Knew he was in there with a woman, and so I drove like maybe 30 minutes away to a larger city. He kept begging me to come back to see him. I'm like, I know you're not gonna do me nothing. He's like, I'm not gonna do you anything. I just want to talk to you. I just want to see you. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I wouldn't see him. I didn't see him for probably about 6, 7 more months. Didn't keep in contact with him. Um, the messages that he sent me were sporadic, and I would not respond. But during that time, the first 2, 3 months after that, I ended up meeting another Jamaican, from a totally different parish. But unbeknownst to me, they did the same type of work. So one of his friends had gotten fired from the company that he was working with, and he went to go work with this friend. And I have a very distinct vehicle. So the friend knew that it was my vehicle and told the guy. And the guy just popped up out of nowhere one day and came to my house. And my cell phone is always open. So, excuse me, during in the process of him looking through my phone, he opened up my WhatsApp and saw messages between this guy and I. And so I had during one of the text messages explained to the guy, I really like you. He's an older guy. I really like you. I was like, but I'm just getting out of a relationship and I need time to process and time to heal from that. And I really don't have time for no bullshit. So with that being said, I like you, but I can't get into a relationship with you. The guy was livid. He was upset, but he didn't show it. But I could tell just knowing him that he was really upset because he didn't expect for me to do anything like that as far as going out, even though the guy and I at that time had not been intimate with one another. He didn't expect for me to go out and meet people, meet somebody else, I guess, that quickly. Now, I knew the guy for a few months before, but I had never gone out with him. So that was my first time, like I said, going out with him, but I had known him for a little bit of time. During that, that, after that interaction with each other, I didn't really hear from him that much anymore. He was leaving me alone, not bothering me. And then I don't know what went on in his life, but he started, trying to come again. And I completely shut it down. I completely shut it down because it just felt forced. Like the interactions that we were having with each other, the conversations that we were having, it was very sporadic, very distant, very, however, very calculated, and making me know that, hey, I need to do something because I'm here. I overstayed my visa and I need to get myself together. So he asked me he was like, I care about you. Will you marry me? But his actions didn't line up with what he was saying. Nothing about it felt real, even though I loved him and I cared for him. It just seemed like he had a disdain for me and that he was jealous of the progress I was making in life. And I would, share some of my ideas with him and I would encourage him to build himself up because he's super smart, very intelligent, can do anything like most Jamaican men can. And, basically just trying to big him up because he's already a big deal. And um, everything that he would respond with would be like, oh, I'm going to, my kid's mom and we need a house like this, talking about my house. Um, I'm going to put a smaller house in your yard. And I'm going to, that's where my kid's mom and I are going to stay. Or, jokingly saying, maybe I'll kill you, put you in the backyard. My kid's mom and I will live in this house. So it became a point where I realized that even though he's coming across as he's joking, is some truth to every joke. And he really does have a bad mind. He's not saying these things for dark humor. He really means something behind it. So the story just goes downhill from there.
All right, guys. So, I don't want to get from the story here. It's a voice recording story. And I'm glad that people are come out and can express themselves. That is what this channel is about, as we generally say, therapy. Get it off your chest. Big up the first lady from America last week who came out and talk. Her boyfriend reached out to me and him and say, oh, he want back him wife. He wanted did tell the girl say I come back to Jamaica for the girl at Jamaica. And I must remember that one day. And now this a lady, I know. It's like Jamaican man know if you charm me, Black American them and get in with them and make them feel like them want them, and it just no work out. You know? You tell us that them man are clever. So it is what it is, man. So me know want to think about this, guys. I want a typical story. Most I want to like hear me in the story ask question. Comment below. Want to like me ask the question them, or want to like it like this just play right out. Me know what I think. Alright? Me go read the comments them. Anyway, we're gonna start a single show now right now. So tune in. All who know if you find it, click on the live. Go on MIXUP bar channel, click on live show, and you will see it. And you can try the pan it, because I don't want nobody call me next day say the man they did call in, because right now over there come like bakery. As the bread come out of the oven, so it gone. What is under my nose?